Welcome to the Contact Center Cactus Chat podcast. I'm your host, Eric Malvin, coming to you from sunny Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm your co-host, Jay Kayang from Dumaguete City, Philippines.
I'm a serial entrepreneur, started my first business 10 years ago, and 6 LLCs later, I started Pac Biz Contact Center Outsourcing in 2015. Today, we have over 200 employees and growing.
And I'm the operations manager here in Pac Biz, and I've been working with Eric since 2014, and I grew as the company grew.
So whether you're looking to outsource for the first time, whether you manage a contact center, or you're just looking to improve your customer experience, we'll be covering topics for you.
So business managers, operations managers, business owners, this is for you, so make sure to subscribe.
Welcome to the Contact Center Cactus Chat. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about taxi companies. And the next 2 episodes, we're going to be talking about taxi companies and outsourcing your taxi calls and customer calls. And I'm joined by my co-host, Jake, out in the Philippines. Welcome, Jake.
Yeah, hello. Welcome, everyone.
All right. And so even if you don't own a taxi company, it doesn't matter. I think you'll get something out of these next couple episodes. And but really want to talk about, for those of you who have never outsourced before, if you're a taxi business, what is the difference between outsourcing your customer calls and driver calls? Because there is a difference. And so this episode, we're going to be talking about your customer calls. Next episode, we'll be talking about outsourcing driver calls. And the big difference there is they're different kind of customers, and we handle them way differently. And if you guys run a taxi company, you'll know, and Jake's the one that manages operations in the Philippines. So you have to deal with it a lot. In fact, it takes a different skill set, right? Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah. So the customer support and the driver support, to outsource it, let's just start from, the trend of outsourcing. What are the stuff that are being outsourced? If you order food in the restaurant, for delivery, most of the restaurants don't have the delivery people, or, they outsource it to a different company where they deliver it for them. So, everyone's taking advantage of the outsourcing. And I guess, other companies who, especially the taxi companies who has not, consider it. Maybe it's about time for you to take a look and what are the benefits and the advantages of doing the outsourcing. And aside from the revenue, another thing that would help you when you outsource is, like call center companies. These people are trained to deliver a really good customer experience. That's what they do. We are tasked. We train people to do these things, like do different stuff, different industries that we work for. These people are really into delivering good customer experience, and that's what we do every day. And what these people are programmed to do. I'm not really programmed, but they're trained to do these things. And even with me, when I'm talking to them during the meetings, like it's really formal. Like when I say something, like they're being interrupted, or they would always say, "Please go ahead." And they give way. They let me talk, and they let everybody talk. And that's already in them, and that's what they get when they outsource. These people are trained, and these people have been working to be very careful with how they deal with the customers, and they understood the business should be taken care of with on that customer experience side. So for
go ahead. Sorry.
For the question, sorry, it took me a little bit, but for the taxi company, to outsource for customer support and driver support, there's a difference. The customer is, of course, the driver is also a customer to the company, and we take care of them. And the same way as we treat the callers who or the customers that will want to be picked up, that's how we also take care of the drivers and how to take care of them. Dispatchers or controllers has the control of giving what job to who, and we always make sure that everything is given equal, and nobody feels like they're being neglected and not given with good jobs or good it always matters how much or how far would be the pickup and the drop off. So yeah, we always take care of that.
Yeah, and you talked about different companies. Like if you're a restaurant, you don't have your own delivery people, you outsource that. There's a lot of examples we can go across, but the big thing that all of these companies have in common, the ones that work with Pac Biz and other businesses that outsource, the biggest thing they have in common is that customer support is not the core part of their business, where for us it is. For Pac Biz, we're all about that. That's our product, is customer support, the customer experience. If you're a restaurant, it's the food. It's not how is that delivery driver making their turns when they're getting to your home, or how are they within the speed limit, or are they driving responsibly in the neighborhoods? No, that's not the responsibility of the restaurant. They want to make sure that they have good food, and if they are focused on the delivery driver, they're not going to be able to put as much attention to the food. And that's what we're saying with these taxi companies and with any business. If the call center is not a core part of your business, all right, then outsource that to companies where that's our focus. That's what we do. Just like if you go to the restaurant, you expect good food. You go to us, you expect good support. And exactly. So for the taxi companies, yeah, they're not. You guys aren't in the business of providing call centers. In the past, that was the case, but now that's not. And so today we're talking about the customer support side of things. And so, Jake, tell me, why would a taxi company outsource their support?
Yeah, based on experience, what I see and what the taxi company owners are happy about is, I think first and foremost is, the employment. They don't need to worry about the employees, so we take care of that side, and probably it's because we've been here for a while now, that all these things that they're doing over there is exactly what we're doing over here. And the difference is that the probably if they're having problems with with the people, their agents or their call takers, that those problems are already taken care of here in our end. Like, we all have these guidelines, the QA metrics and all other stuff. Like after all the times that we spent doing this thing, we're not perfect, but probably close to it. And we make sure that we deliver a good customer experience. So that's the thing that you can get when you outsource the call taking. And eventually, as these agents, from the beginning, we don't have dispatchers or controllers there, right? And
yeah, in the beginning, you're right.
And they began to have these skills. Like, they know this place, they're very familiar with the map, they're very familiar with the drivers, and even though they're just being call takers, they already have this knowledge about where these drivers are going home, where these drivers are usually located. And when we were offered before, if we can do the dispatching, and then we try, and there you go. It's not really difficult for us to adapt to doing the to take driver calls. So it's it went along with the call takers or the agents' skills. It moved up and developed this thing since they've been staying there on the same area, taking calls for that area. They memorize the maps and all other businesses in the areas, and there's this little thing that needed to be added on training just to become a dispatcher, and we're doing good at it.
Awesome. That is great to hear. You're right. And it's nice to see that evolution. I know at Pac Biz, one of our core values is personal growth. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to use that as an example where we started with taxi customer calls. And then, what we'll be talking about in the next episode, driver calls, that came later on. And part of it was almost a necessity because the technology that's coming into play too. We have a lot of clients where 50, 60, 70% of the calls are handled by automation, by the IVR. Mm-hmm. And so we're only handling that 30% or 20%. And I think it goes back to why these customer calls are so important. You can't afford to have just some person that you hired like their first days taking their calls and they don't have any experience about your business when those are the 20% of the calls that are coming in. So the people are they've tried to use the computer system calling in or the AI, the bot, whatever, and it hasn't taken their calls. And now they're upset. And they've been trying to talk to somebody. You don't want to have someone that is not trained and not ready answering the phone because they're new on the phones because you keep having turnover. So, you talked about that a bit. They're having issues there with their call center agents where that's our product. That's our service that we do. So that's why we really focus on that part. So we could focus on the call side of things and they could focus on the operations.
And also to follow Eric, I have a question for you because you've been everywhere talking to these guys about their companies, all over the world. So I would want to ask if what do you think is the company what do they have to make them considered as ready to outsource?
Yeah, like what makes a taxi company ready to outsource? It's a good question. So I would say there's a couple things that you should try to have in place. You got to have a decent dispatch system. In fact, if your dispatch system is not ready, and I'm not, it's 2022. I'm not really seeing this being as big of a problem as it was when we first started back in 2015, because there are still a lot of people that didn't have a system that let you outsource. You couldn't log in remotely and take calls. The phone system wouldn't let you log in remotely too. So these days everything's in the cloud. You could log in from anywhere in the world, check on your fleet, and also dispatch calls and take customer calls. So the dispatch system is huge, and the phone system, which isn't as complicated, but it can be. Some businesses, they've invested a lot into their phone system. Mm-hmm. It's set up this perfect way, but maybe you haven't connected it with the dispatch system. And that's really key too, because I just talked about, we have clients that have 50, 60% of their calls automated. That automation doesn't work if your phone system can't communicate with your dispatch system. So when all of those communicate together and then you plug us in, and then that's really where I'm able to see a lot of great success. So that doesn't mean that you have to get a lot of things changed in your company, but you have to have a modern dispatch system, I think, is the biggest key. Another thing that I think holds companies back, but we're able to overcome that, is a lot of companies think that they have to spend months preparing to outsource. Now, what's nice is when we have companies that we work with and they already have their processes documented. They already have a really solid training program, and they're able to just turn things over and say, here you go, this is what we train our staff on, and that's it. That's not the case for most of our clients. Most of the clients come to us, have never outsourced before. Or maybe they work with a company that didn't have that many processes, and they were like, well, they just kind of started taking calls, and so, their instruction for us is you got to just start taking calls and figure it out. We'll do a lot of training, preparing people for the city they're in. We'll try to prepare as much as we can to learn what your processes are, and we'll get all that written down. And as we go, especially for the people who've never outsourced, we'll have all that prepared and we'll put it together. So no worries. You know, if you're listening, you're like, I want to outsource. I need to. I'm having issues with my call center. I'm having issues with staff, and I just don't think I'm ready. I don't know. I think, you know, come talk to us. I'd be happy to talk to you guys about those. I mean, Jake, you're the one that deals with them when they come to us. So what do you want to say about that?
You know, if you're thinking that you know, this is not for us or any reason that are you know, holding you back, I think all you need to do is to talk to us. We can explain, and you know, we have tools that are, you know, that don't work with remote you know, access. Like we already figured out what to do with that. And, you know, to be specific, you can just give us a call and, you know, talk to us and what are the tools that you're using, the dispatch systems and the phone systems. And in that way, we can, you know, just figure out what will be the solution if you are thinking that it's not going to work with outsourcing.
Yeah. And to double down on the importance of the dispatch system, and Jake, you've dealt with all kinds of dispatch systems over the years, all the way back to TrueCab and my taxi business 10 plus years ago almost. What are some of the issues that pop up when there is a bad dispatch system?
Yeah, that's one thing that I want to talk about as well. So it's if it's really, you know, if it is outdated. Most common problem that you see is, you know, the accuracy. May not get the accurate location of the drivers, or if the address of the customer is calling may not appear in that dispatch system. So it will be very difficult to put in the exact address, because if you're putting in a different, the address that is not recognized by the dispatch system. The GPS locator might not locate where exactly the address is, and that's going to be a problem. And those are the common things that I see. And also with the, you know, estimated time of arrival, it may appear that it appears that it has a longer wait time where it doesn't, or it appears that it's shorter wait time, but it is not. So that adds up the confusion between the driver and the customer. And of course, if you're a customer, if you're experiencing those things, would you call back and you know, trust that company? That's another way of losing a customer. So we can just talk to us, and, you know, we can give you know, the suggestions and all other things that you know, for you to prepare to outsource, or even if you know, maybe you can get something out of that talk, like, what are the ways to improve your customer service or customer experience, and you know, other things. Cool.
Yeah, and we're getting close to the end of this episode here, so I wanted to wrap up and just I'll talk here a bit about what kind of taxi company is successful at outsourcing, because just because you're outsourcing doesn't mean, all right, my business is going to be great, I'm going to save this money, all my issues are solved. Not the case. And I can tell you, because of how many taxi companies I've talked to just this past summer that are having trouble still, that they're outsourcing, but they're not getting the results they were looking for. And I would say there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, well, what kind of business are you? Do you care about your customer experience? Do you care about what the people that are calling your business are going through, whether it's on the phone or even in the cab? Now, a lot of companies, they focus on what happens in the cab, and that's a big part of it. You got to make sure you got a good driver. The vehicle has to be presentable. There can't be mechanical issues. When you're paying with your card at the end of the ride, that has to be a good experience. It can't have the driver that's saying the credit card machine is broken, or it can't read the card and they're like, oh, I don't know, you got to pay somehow. That's not good experience either. But the phone part of it is really important too. In fact, if that's a poor experience, you're not going to get that experience in the car, because they're not going to take you. They're going to call other companies and take someone else instead. But outsourcing isn't the magic bullet. It's not it's going to solve your company's problems, you're going to get this extra revenue, and you could use it to invest back in your fleet. We do work with companies that get to that point, but I think it really comes down to how do they care about the customer service and the customer experience or not? And that's what's driving a lot of these companies to make these changes for the dispatch system. They're not investing in the dispatch system so that they can take calls from home, or they could, be on vacation and watch the fleet. They're doing it because, like Jake said, the inaccurate information about where the vehicles are, or we're able to, and you have the right dispatch system, and you're able to see quickly where the cabs are, where the drivers are, connect them really fast, tell them how long the wait time is, see where the recent rides are. And then there's all kinds of things that happen behind the scenes that the dispatch system helps with, so it makes us, it lets us be able to do a better job. And so that's a big part of it is having that, is investing back into your company, basically. And that's your motivation, the big motivator behind outsourcing. So if you outsource and you go to a low quality provider, some of the issues that I hear from companies, the employees are working 80 hours a week. Everyone at our company, they work 40 hours a week. They're just, every single person has their own shift, unless there's some overtime requirements. But, we're super reliable. We just had, Jake, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. I believe we just had like our 18th or 19th person celebrate their 5-year anniversary with us. And we're only 7 years old as a company. So turnover, how is turnover? The people taking calls for you today that you get assigned when you're outsourcing, how many of those people are still taking calls for that business 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? If it's a different crew every couple months, you're still having the same issues that you had in your own center. It's not getting solved because you need someone that works there for some time to understand your customers, your drivers, your regulars, your corporate accounts, how you handle the little rules for every different location and different account and different contract. Everything needs to be handled a little differently. And when you get a new person in there, they're constantly having to learn. And they have to make some mistakes when they're new. But if it's a new person every couple months, it's kind of what you invest is what you get out of it. I don't know. What do you think, Jake?
Imagine how much time that person would spend to talk to the customer, like if he's not familiar with that address and all other stuff, the name of the business and all other things. So when you have that person working for you for 5-6 years, they already have that in their head, and it's the accuracy and the speed is there. So it's the advantage. It's the customer is getting a great experience. The same with the driver. Drivers are getting accurate information. They're not going to a place that the wrong place, especially when you're going to the opposite side of the city, and that's you're losing spending money for gas and your time and all those things. And the drivers are customers as well. So if they're not treated right, probably they will transfer to a company that will treat them right and give them good business. Like if it would really affect the drivers if the information is not accurate, and those things. So if the investment is good with the dispatch system, all other things will just follow. And also with the people that you hire as the call takers, it also matter. And with the experience, the turnover. Our people here are working for us for quite a while. And if you're talking about the dispatch system that they're being used, if you happen to use the same dispatch system that we use here, so that means you're going to have a person who's been experienced with handling calls and using dispatch system for quite a while, and that's going to be an advantage for you.
So, Jake, I just wanted to wrap up with this last thought here about the attrition rate. And you were talking about staff that stick around a long time and for years. Now, unfortunately, we cannot put anybody that comes to us, because we're growing, we can't put all people that have been working at Pac Biz for years, because our clients that have been with us for years are expecting those people to stick around. But the thing here with us, if you're hiring someone in the call center and you're in the UK, you're in the US, you're in Canada, the expectation is not that this person's going to be there for years. The expectation is like, we'll see how long they last. Where when you come to work at Pac Biz, or you come to work at a call center that values them, that cares about the employee, and we want these people to stick around, that's the difference. When people come in to apply, they're starting a career with us. They're expecting, okay, that could be where I might work for the next 5-10 years. Versus that's not the expectation they're coming in when they come into work locally. This is like, oh, I'm doing this for now, waiting for the next thing to come around. So that's a big difference. So even if you're starting with a company and it's starting with new people, it makes a huge difference what that attrition rate is at the call center that you're outsourcing to. So challenge you guys, if you're thinking about outsourcing and you're looking at companies, ask them what their attrition rate is. How many people leave that company in the next year, and that could be the big difference between if you're going to get a great experience for your business, or one that you're going to be wishing you made a different choice. So with that, I think that's all the time we have for this episode today. Thank you for joining me, Jake, from the Philippines.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks,
yeah,
Ray.
and then the next episode, we're going to be talking and focusing on the driver side of outsourcing and working with call centers. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.